Hello, my name is Mark. I'm a peer support worker at Together in a Crisis, and this is a video version of our sleep and relaxation online wellbeing session. The sessions usually take place on Wednesday afternoons, but for various reasons, that's not always a possibility for people to attend. So we've made this recorded version just to go through some of the main points and to outline some of the tools and resources that come in the resource pack along with this. So we're going to talk about the importance of sleep and how to maximize sleep and get some good habits and some tools and tips and techniques for improving your sleep. And we'll talk about relaxation, so the importance of it, and different ways to incorporate relaxation into your daily routine. So the importance of sleep. Obviously, we spend a third of our lives asleep, or we're supposed to anyway. It's very important for our physical and mental health. It helps our bodies to repair. It helps our brains to consolidate memories and process information. And poor sleep can lead to poor health. So sleep disturbance can have big knock-on effects for all areas of our life, for our diet, our exercise, our mood, concentration, just our general ability to function. So it's very important that we get not too much and not too little, and that we have good sleep habits. If you're watching this, I would assume that sleep is something that you want to address. So I'm very glad that you have decided to watch this, and hopefully some of the things that we cover will be things that you can incorporate into your daily routine that can help you address any issues around sleep that you might have. The first thing that we think is a really useful exercise is a helpful and unhelpful bedtime habits. This is kind of a reflective exercise um, where we list things that are useful, things that are not useful. The example for helpful is hot milk an hour before bed. I hate milk, so that's definitely not helpful for me. Probably some kind of decaf tea or water would be helpful for me. Reading, relaxation, maybe some yoga, go for a walk, something gentle, something quiet, something mindful. Turn the lights down would be a helpful thing. Unhelpful, caffeine an hour or two before bed, greasy food, alcohol, nicotine, scrolling through the phone, loud music, uh, techno music, stuff like that. Um, Generally, the helpful things are the opposite of the unhelpful. So if you can come up with unhelpful bedtime habits and flip them on their head, that'll usually help you come up with helpful things. And one of the things we'd like to address today and for you to come out of the end of this video with is a list of helpful ideas of things that you can implement and things that you can add to your daily life and to your routine. And by identifying unhelpful ones, that usually helps us to identify helpful things as well. So good sleep hygiene, as we can see on this little clock here, there's loads of different aspects to it. So there's environmental aspects like having the right kind of lighting, turning off our screens, making ourselves comfortable, having the right room temperature. So I heard someone say the other day about what was it, cool room, warm bed. So your room shouldn't be hot, but your bed shouldn't be cold. So don't have the heating blasting all evening in your bedroom, or don't have the window open. So that's really important, because if your room's too hot, then you're going to have a disrupted night's sleep if you can get the sleep at all. Behavioural, so eating well, exercising during the day to burn some energy and to wear yourself down a bit, avoiding caffeine, alcohol, and nicotine close to bedtime. So caffeine and nicotine are stimulants, so they raise your heart rate. They're designed to keep you awake. Alcohol is a depressant, and I know a lot of people feel that that's a helpful thing to get you to go off to sleep if you've had a couple of drinks, but actually it really disrupts the quality of the sleep because your body is still processing the alcohol while you're asleep, so you're not fully shut down. Your body hasn't fully switched itself off. It's still ticking around in the background. So a lot of people think if they have a drink, it helps them get off to sleep. Um, but it doesn't mean that you're going to get a good night's sleep. So trying to avoid it before bed is useful. And the same goes with heavy uh, food, so fatty and sugary food as well. Your body keeps taking over while you're asleep. Relaxation, so breathing exercises, guided imagery, that's something we'll come on to. And for some people, sleep aids, so prescriptions or over the counter medicines. Um, some people will worry about getting a dependency on things like that or maybe becoming over reliant on them. We would always say that trying to incorporate the other things, so the behavioral things and the relaxation the environment would be the first option. And if none of them things work, then you could look at some other sleep aids for it. If it's really bad, obviously you can see your GP. But we would always say if you get the rest of the stuff in place, that might be enough. Medication shouldn't be the first port of call. There are a lot of evidence-based tips for sleep hygiene. There's been a lot of research. Sleep's very, very important for everyone. So a lot of people have committed a lot of time to researching these things. So evidence-based tips for sleep hygiene include setting up a routine that helps to train your brain and your internal body clock. So the body loves routine and it responds really well to going to bed at the same time and getting up at the same time. It's very helpful for the body to get into those kind of patterns, and it can take a bit of time to get into it, but once it does, your body will then start to expect that at certain times and responding appropriately. Exposure to sunlight can help your sleeping patterns, so at the start of the day try and get outside in the morning, get some sunlight, even if it's just opening the curtains, opening the blinds. Our body needs sunlight for energy, for vitamins, but also it sends signals to your brain that this is time to be awake, and then when it's dark, it alerts the brain that it's time to go to sleep. So having a sleeping pattern that matches up with when the sun's out is really useful for the body and for the brain. Having a good wind down time is really important, and that's something that we'll cover in a bit more detail. Avoid using electronic devices. They emit this blue light, which stop us from producing the sleep hormone. So we can end up feeling more awake than sleepy. So if you're feeling sleepy, you go to bed and you have a scroll through your phone, you suddenly feel more awake than you did when you decided to go to bed. So getting rid of the smartphones and the tablets from the bedroom is a really big thing. I myself have just bought a alarm clock because I was using my phone for the alarm, and I had my phone next to my bed and I was scrolling through it at night, and then I'd wake up in the morning, I'd scroll through it, and nothing but bad news on my phone at the minute anyway, and it was really disrupting my sleep. I was feeling awake at night, and then in the morning it was, no good for us just to keep scrolling through. So I bought an alarm clock, and now I don't bring my phone into the bedroom at all. I just have the alarm clock, and it's made a massive difference to my sleep. I get to sleep a lot easier. I feel a lot more refreshed when I wake up as well. Um, Avoiding certain foods or certain drinks for a few hours before bedtime, as we talked about on the last slide, especially caffeine, alcohol, and nicotine. getting your bedroom environment set up and as relaxing as it can be is huge. Again, if you've got your bedroom set up in a way where it's relaxing, when you go into your bedroom, you'll see that it's set up nicely, and it again just signals to your brain that it's a nice, safe environment where you can get a good rest, and it just helps you build up that kind of sense of relaxation and calmness. Regular exercise, and if you do have a nap, limit it to 20 to 30 minutes. I think that avoids your body going into a deeper sleep. Because if you wake from a deeper sleep, you feel quite groggy. But if you have 20 to 30 minutes, you stay in that light stage of sleep at the start. And then when you wake up from that, you normally feel quite refreshed. If you go much further, then your body's going to think that it's having a proper sleep. And then you're going to get disturbed from it. So it's not going to be happy. So there's quite a few. And obviously, if you don't have any of these incorporated into your routine, it might feel like a lot to try and overhaul everything at once. So maybe just choosing one or two that you can start off with, and then as time goes on, you can start incorporating more into your routine. Brain junk exercise is a really useful exercise for when you're in bed or you're just about to go to bed and you've just got thoughts and worries whirring around in your head, chattering away, anxious chatter, and you think there's no way I'm going to get asleep because I'm just going to be lying in bed with all these thoughts whirring around. That's where the brain junk exercise comes in. You don't have to follow it through this pattern. You can do it however you like. This is just kind of a guide. But the idea is to get the thoughts out of your head and to get rid of them so you can go to sleep. So this exercise, you draw a bin on a piece of paper, you write your worries in the bin, don't spend any more than 5 or 10 minutes writing them down. And it's not a novel, it's just to clear your head. Have a look at it when it's finished, and then you can either close the lid, put it in a drawer, or chuck it away, rip it up. Don't burn it because you might end up burning your house down. And whatever you want to do, get rid of it, out of sight, out of mind. And all it does is it just clears those thoughts from your head, which is going to help you get to sleep. You can do it another way if you live with somebody, or if you in regular contact with someone who you feel you can share your worries with. You can speak to them or give them a call. Get rid of what's on your mind, or you can put it down on paper and throw it away. It doesn't really matter. You can even just say it aloud to yourself. Whatever it is, getting it out of your head, getting it down and getting it out there helps it to clear it out of your head, and then it helps you to rest a bit better. Sleep diaries are a really useful way of developing a better sleep pattern. So if you've got bad sleep patterns, or you've got certain issues with your sleep that you want to try and overcome, a sleep diary can help you identify patterns and times when you haven't slept very well. So you might have a couple of days a week. If you kept a diary for a week, you might look back and have a couple of days where you haven't slept very well, and you can try and see if they've got anything in common. So maybe it was that the next morning you had an appointment, or the day before something had upset you, or something like that. And then you can start to think, oh, if this happens on a day, then that affects my sleep. And then you can start to address the little things that turn into the bigger ones. And if you want to set like a regular getting up time, you can look back at your sleep diary and see how many days that you've achieved that and things like that. So it's just a really good reflective exercise, and it just helps you to monitor what's going on and look at ways that you can improve it. You can do one in detail like that, or you can do a slightly simpler one with different questions just about what time you went to bed, how long it takes you to fall asleep, and reflecting on the process just helps you, like I say, spot patterns and figure out how you can do it better in the future. And you've got sleep tracking apps as well. This is a personal preference. Some people like this, some people don't. Some people can get quite obsessed with their heart rate or their sleep patterns or their cycles. So it's totally up to you whether it's something that you want to try. Again, with all of these things like the diaries and the brain junk exercise and all of that, some of it's going to be interesting or useful for you and some of it's not. Everyone's different, and what works for one person won't work for another. So we just encourage you to be open-minded and to try a few things out. And once you've tried them out, you'll probably settle on one or two that are useful for you. So don't worry if you try something you think it's naff or you think it's not going to work. That's totally okay. Move on to another one and give that a try. So on to relaxation. Like sleep, relaxation is very important. Relaxation helps us to stay calm. It helps us to manage our day-to-day life. It's very important both for physical and for mental health that we have techniques or tools that we can use to help us relax. It helps us to change pace from our daily routine, and it can help us to achieve positive health goals and take our mind away from worries. There are some things that we do that we think are relaxation because they feel good in the moment, but they can have negative long-term health effects. Relaxation activities are activities that help us calm our mind and bring us back to the present and help us focus on the now. So these relaxation methods, breathing exercises, relaxation, meditation, visualization and grounding techniques can be used for a range of things. They have a range of benefits. Looking at this list, I know that for a lot of people, some of this might be quite alien or quite new. Definitely for me, a couple of years ago, I'd never had heard of any of these things. And if someone had suggested doing visualization, I'd have said, no, sounds like a load of rubbish. It's not for me. Um, and it did take a bit of time to break down that barrier. I had preconceptions about what these kind of things were and what kind of people did them. And I think that's natural. But once you give them a try, and like I say, there's a big list there. Some things will work for you, some things won't. If you can push through that kind of barrier and learn to give them a go, you'll realise that they're actually really easy. Most of them only take a few minutes, and the benefits are huge. I think my preconceptions were kind of fogged a bit by what I thought relaxation meant. So for me, relaxation meant having a drink or having a takeaway or binge watching TV for hours on end. And actually, those things in the long run didn't make us relaxed. They made us inactive, they made us tired the next day, they disrupted my sleep. Um, and these things like breathing techniques, meditation, visualization, they are really simple, and all they do is they just bring you back to the now and they focus your attention on the present and help you to get rid of those thoughts and to reduce anxiety. So it definitely is worth diving in with an open mind and giving this stuff a go, even if it does feel a bit uncomfortable at the start. So grounding techniques can include anything. You might have heard of grounding. People use it when they talk about anxiety, panic attacks. People who have panic attacks use a lot of grounding techniques, but actually it can cover a whole range of situations, and it can help anyone. It can be going for a walk and just observing your surroundings, having some exercise, write and discard. There is the brain junk exercise. There's a whole range of things you can do, and the point is is to stop you from living in your mind and help you to return to the real world. So getting away from those negative emotions and focusing on the here and the now. That's the whole point of grounding. And whatever it is for you that helps you do that is the thing that we'd encourage you to practice. So a few examples. The 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique is quite a popular one. And this is where you go through your 5 senses. And the idea is that you're taking in the details of your surroundings and you're noticing the small things. So 5 things you can see, 4 things you can feel, 3 things you can hear, and 2 things you can smell, 1 you can taste. And it's not a test. You're not, if you can only feel 3 things and smell 1, that's fine. The point is you're focusing on your mind on what's going on around you, what your body's feeling, and what the world's like. And in doing that, it distracts your mind from negative emotions that you're having or unhelpful thoughts that you're having. So it doesn't matter in the order that you do it or you know which senses you focus on more than others. It's just a way of bringing yourself back to the here and back to the now. I know this is a really popular one for panic attacks or for stressful situations, but you can use it at any time. Visualization exercises. There's a lot of this on YouTube where you make yourself comfortable, you close your eyes, you sit down, and someone will guide you through. They'll describe a scene and you visualize the scene. You can do it yourself if you've got a place that you like or a time in your life that you like to remember. Maybe, you know, for me it would be probably Tynemouth or Whitley Bay down at the beach. Trying to remember the sights and the sounds and the smells and just being kind of present in that moment. You can, if you've got a goal or a certain project that you're aiming for, you can do it around that. Really, again, it is just about focusing on something positive, something pleasant, focusing on your senses, on your breath, on your body, and getting away from those negative emotions and distracting your brain from those unhelpful thoughts. So there's no right or wrong way to do this. And with these kind of things, you'll probably notice the first couple of times you try them, you're going to be really distracted. You're going to think, I can't do this. My brain's not designed for this, you know, and so on. That's a natural part of it. And after you've done it a few times, you'll notice that you build up the habit and it gets easier and it gets more enjoyable. And when you come out of the other end of it, it is a really good technique to have if you're suffering from anxiety or if you've got something on your mind or if something bad happens and it stresses you out and you've got some strong emotions. Doing things like this can really help you to come back to the present and to not experience the emotional kind of fallout from those negative thoughts. My favorite is 4-7-8 breathing method, where you inhale through your nose and count to 4, and you hold your breath for a count of 7, and then you exhale through your mouth for 8, and then you do that on a few cycles. Now, I used to be quite a heavy smoker, and there was no way I could hold my breath for 7 seconds. I think I did 2 instead of 4, 3 instead of 7, and 4 instead of 8. So it was a 2-3-4 breathing method for me until until I got my lungs back. It doesn't really matter. The important thing for this technique is that your exhale is longer than your inhale. So The reason that is, when your exhale is longer than your inhale, it sends a signal to your brain that you're safe and that you can calm down and that it slows your heart rate down. And when you think about the opposite, if you've got a quick inhale, so if you're out of breath and you're inhaling a lot, that signals to your brain your fight or flight mode. It tells you that you're in danger, that you need to run, and it raises your heart rate and it triggers those adrenaline in your brain. Um, when it's the other way around, if you've got shorter inhales and longer exhales, it does the opposite. It tells your brain there's no danger, you're safe, you're okay where you are, nothing's wrong, and then it slows your body down and then it reduces your adrenaline. So if you're experiencing stress, this is a really good thing. I used to use it on my way to work and walk to work in my last job that was really stressful, and I'd get halfway there and I'd have been thinking about all the arguments I'm going to have that day, or something my boss said that had annoyed us, or whatever, and I would stop on my walk when it was building up, and I would just practice this breathing for 30 seconds, and it just focused me mind on the now. You focus on your counting and it gets rid of those negative thoughts and it just brings you back to where you are and it makes you much calmer. So I highly recommend this. But again, it can take a bit of practice. The first couple of times might feel a bit strange, but once you get into the swing of it, then it's another tool that you can pull on. So when you are having a difficult time, then you can pull it out and use it and help yourself calm down and come back to the moment. So we've covered quite a few different things. If you're still watching, thank you for watching. We talked about bedtime routines, sleep hygiene, good sleeping habits, and some relaxation techniques. So what I'd like you to do is just to think about a couple of the things that we've talked about and think about if there's any that you can put in place before you go to bed tonight, even if it's just to take a bit of time to reflect on your own bedtime habits. What might you do a bit differently? Remember that you don't need a huge overhaul. You don't need to try and do everything straight away. You can introduce new ideas and new techniques and new habits over a long period of time. But it is a good idea to set an intention today after you've watched this of maybe turning the phone off a bit earlier, or not having that last cigarette, or doing a bit of breathing technique, or whatever it is. Try and do one or two things and then see how that goes. And remember that, especially if you have long-term problems with sleep, there's no quick fix. It is going to take time, it's going to take work. So if you try some of the things we've talked about and after a day or two it doesn't feel any better, it doesn't mean that things don't work. It just means that your body's not caught up yet with what you're trying to do. And if you keep persevering with it, after a few days or a couple of weeks, your body will catch up and it will get into that routine and you will start to see the benefit of it. So thank you very much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you've taken something from it, and happy sleeping. Okay, goodbye.